Time for our last superheat of round one of the Winter Series. And we now turn our attention to the very, very highly charged, fast-paced shifters class. Here's your starting grid. Tommy van der Stroy's 3 for 3 so far this weekend, plus pole position in time qualifying. Can he be beaten? Gil Mertens will line up alongside as the leading KZ Masters driver on the front row. Kevin Stayhauer and Jeffrey Fixer round out row number 2. Jens Strøer, last year's KZ winner, as he starts on the inside of row number 3. He'll be joined by Switzerland's Samuel Luyet. Mika van der Pavet and Luca Brima on row 4 with Louis Esser and Robin Glerum, who made significant comebacks through yesterday's heats after a difficult qualifying on Friday afternoon. They round out your top 10. Alois Girardet and Sam Claes continue the grid on row 6. Milan van Vinden and Anders Zalkier will be next up on row 7. After that, Tanja Cirelli and Kane Ince, row 8. Bas Schultz and Emilio Bogenhout, row 9. Martin Verstegen and Mick Blankerspoor round out the top 20. Daniel Zalstra, Lenny Hobiolagash, Christopher Saxer, Nick Plumers, Zico Osterhoff are due to start at the back end of the field. Jean Luyet has been a non-starter all weekend long, and I would imagine the trend will continue on this front. So the drivers are now on their official formation lap. And despite a slightly botched start for Tommy van der Stroy's, now there is a kart. Oh, right, someone is not taking the start, and I'm wondering if that might be possibly that is halfway down the Europalan, and there is a kart on the infield. That might be Samuel Luyet walking away. Helmet is in his left hand and has just walked over to Marshall Post 5. And it is 4-1-3. That kart is now confirmed as not taking the start of the superheat. So Samuel Luyet will have to fight back tooth and nail in the final later on this afternoon. The shifters will conclude the on-track action for the opening round before we head to Karting d'Espagne in Marienborg in the Corvan region, southern Belgium, from February 27th. And already, I see that Helena's already voiced up in chat, go Mick, go. We'll see how he gets on from 20th on the grid. And it is the traditional standing start. The procedure will be that once we have the green flag at the back, the 4 red lights will ignite in sequence, and once they go out, they'll dump the clutch and accelerate at full velocity. And hopefully Tommy van der Stroy does not have a bit of a botched start like he did have in Heat 3, but he still went on to win that heat by 7.9 seconds. He could have won it by nearly 10 seconds had it been a perfect start by the man from the Netherlands. Green flag at the back, 12 minutes plus an additional lap of shifter class action here at the home of champions. The 4 red lights, they ignite, the revs build, the lights are out, and it's a great start by Gil Mertens, who cuts across the front of Tommy van der Stroy as it's a battle between Fixer and Stayhauer. Fixer gets the better of the two going into turn 1. But already, straight away at the front end, one driver has definitely decided to canter away into the distance early, but with the pace at some points, Tommy van der Stroy was pushing 1.6 seconds a lap quicker in the final yesterday, late afternoon, sort of sunset time. The field make their way through into turn 9, but Gil Mertens trying to stride away early. He's got a bit of a gap, but Tommy van der Stroy is already starting to pick up the pace, sets the fastest middle sector of anybody in this early part of this 12-minute plus an additional lap superheat for the shifters class. Mertens leads after the opening lap. Gap between him and van der Stroy is 0.54 of a second. Jeffrey Fixer completes the top 3, who were covered by 8 tenths after the opening lap. Kevin Stayhauer, Jens Strøer now 5th. Luca Prima, Robin Glirum up to P7. He's sprinted up from 10th, as there is the 401. Last year's KZ winner behind Kevin Stayhauer. Old rivals are those two, especially on the Chrono Karting Dutch KZ2 Championship. Sam Clay's up 4 spots now into 8th. Milan van Vinden now ahead of Louis Esser, the other one of the Mach 1 Motorsport drivers, in the 420, just in the back of shot there for a moment. Rounds out your top 10. So it might have been, could have been just a change for position. Yep, Luca Prima has just been passed by Robin Glirum in the meantime. Is a little bit further back. Sam Clays, I think, might have just gone for a move, or it might have been Milan van Vinden in the 408. He might have just got him past for 8th position. And there we see, yep, it is Milan van Vinden, one of the new MP kart racing team drivers. He's trying to go up the inside of Luca Prima into turn 6. And has gotten through. Good work there by Van Vinden. First getting through on Clays at turn 1, and then waits until turn 6 and 7 to get through on Prima. Meantime, Van der Stroys has closed that gap significantly to Gil Mertens. Kevin Stayhauer has the fastest lap of the race in the pocket, 53.855. Across the line to complete lap number 3. Gap between Van der Stroys and Mertens now a 10th and a half, and closing. Van der Stroy is getting ever closer to the rear bumper of Mertens in the braking zone as they come down the Europalan. Both drivers at the sharp end of the field looking behind them over their right shoulders, and they've caught a glimpse of the colours of Fixer, Stayhauer and Jens Ströer. Makes it a quintet at the sharp end of the field. The last time around they were covered by just over 1.35 seconds. We've got 8.5 minutes plus an additional lap still of this shifter race left to go. And Gil Mertens leads overall, but also the Masters division. Mertens with a lot of experience, but Van der Stroys is kind of becoming, it's a bit of a rock and a being a bit of a between a rock and a hard place. Jens Ströer, however, has just got through on Kevin Stayhauer. Biggest movers at the moment. Milan van Vinden now up into P7, 6 places gained. Christopher Sachs has made up positions from 23rd, now runs 18th, as Van der Stroys does not need to absolutely go hell for leather at this point. It's just with the KZs, the amount of tyre degradation they suffer with the Leconce on the rear, especially with the amount of traction that goes through the back axle. You're sometimes going to be very, very mindful about how your tyres wear over the course of a race. And there goes a change, and that is going to be for the race lead. Tommy Van der Stroys through on Gil Mertens. Jeffrey Fixer, however, is keeping them both very, very honest. And with that, when you add Jens Ströer, you add Kevin Stayhauer, and then, well, keep your eyes on behind them, because from Power Kart Racing, the Birrell art of Robin Glirum is fast approaching. And Glirum just puts a warning shot across the bow with the fastest lap of the race. 52.816, fastest in the middle and final sector by Glirum, the 416 from the Netherlands. But at the moment, well, Van der Stroys is ahead as... Oh, no. That was a bit too robust there on Gil Mertens by Jens Ströer. And Jens Ströer made a complete pig's ear of that one, I'm afraid. Tried to go in, got the slingshot, and then Gil Mertens was too... He tried to make the move, and then all of a sudden it just went a bit too wrong. As he hopped over the curb, it allowed the likes of Glirum, Stayhauer and all that lot to get through. So all that work that he'd done had just been unravelled very, very quickly. And that's what can happen. You're under so much pressure. mentally and physically. Mentally in terms of like thinking, okay, where's my braking point? How many gears do I need to shift down? When do I apply the throttle? There's a lot to take in because you are working very, very hard behind the wheel. You could be shifting up gears whilst accelerating, and you can find you've got a right-hander coming up, so you've got to put both hands on the wheel after shifting down, on the brakes, turn it in. But this isn't stopping the likes of Treur and Glirum, because they still have 5¼ minutes plus an additional lap left to go. The ideal lap around the circuit, according to the live time that we've got, 52.512. Tommy van der Stroy's has just done a 52.689. New fastest lap, so he's about 0.177 of a second off. Comes across the line, and a 52.536 by the young man from the Netherlands, just 16 years of age. And has grown immeasurably with regards to height, also natural speed, and he's got a gap of 1.9 seconds over new works driver for Mach 1 Motorsport, the German kart brand, Jeffrey Fixer. Kevin Stehauer P3, Jens Treur 4th, Robin Glirum 5th. Gil Mertens still at the moment leads the Masters division, but he's got Milan van Vinden between himself and Sam Clays. And Sam Clays is about 1.7 seconds behind Gil Mertens at the meantime. So Gil Mertens would love to be battling at the sharp end of the field. Outright, we've got one kart off of turn number 2. Make that 2 karts. So that is going to be more than likely Daniel Zylstra. So let's have a look. I'm just trying to... So Zico Osterhoff possibly, Daniel Zylstra possibly. Just trying to have a look. It's actually down just off of turn 2 and turn 3. It looks like they might not be taking any further participation, or it could be something different. Hang on, 4:12, I think. 4:12, and let's see. Could that be Martin Versteeg, maybe? Yep. Martin Versteeg and Christopher Zaxa are out of the superheat, I'm afraid. But we're coming down to the final 3¼ minutes plus an additional lap as the battle rages on for P2. Tommy van der Stroy is now about to come around the final corner and complete lap 10 of the Shifters Superheat. This lead now expands to 2.8 seconds, so a quartet battling over second, third, fourth and fifth. That is Fixer, Stehauer, Treur and Glirum. So more to the point, it is the case of, whilst Tommy van der Stroy is en route to scoring a maximum score of 240 points, everyone else is scrapping for the leftovers on the Sunday dinner table after the roast that's been cooked by the family. But nevertheless, Jeffrey Fixer seems very, very comfortable in the new machinery. Robin Glirum showed his nose to Jens Treur. Treur takes a quick couple of glances over the right shoulder and still manages to keep in front of him. Still, the deadlock between these 4 drivers has yet to be broken, but you look behind and you see the likes of Milan van Vinden, Gil Mertens, Alois Girardet on the 410 entry. Stehauer dives to the inside. Oh, he could have gone for it, but I think he might have just been a little bit too far off in order to facilitate the move up the inside at turn 10 on Jeffrey Fixer. So we've got round about 3 laps of racing left to go. We're on lap number 13. Tommy van der Stroy is leading the way by 3.9 seconds, dead on the nose. Fixer still holding on to P2. Stehauer, Treur and Glirum. They round out your top 5. Glirum on the Birolot with Power Racing. Trying to close in on the man on the crop promotion chassis in front, the 401 of Jens Sturr. But still, despite the fact that Samuel Lier unable to take the start, Martin Versteeg and Christopher Sachs are coming to blows at turn 2 on lap 9. We still have 22 runners on the field, as there's going to be an overtake through into the final corner. 2 laps remaining, and Tommy van der Stroys is 4.3 seconds up the road, ahead of Jeffrey Fixer, who proverbially has become the second place cork in the wine bottle here at Karting Genk in this race. But he's not wanting to relinquish that. Going to stay hard, deep under the brakes, as is Anglirum. So this could be very, very close indeed. Timer hit 0. Van der Stroy is now making his way through towards turn number 9. He's just about to exit it now and bang up the gears before shifting down a couple of times before the right-hander here at Cafe Corner, just off of the grandstand, the podium area. We'll be congratulating our respective classes in terms of the weekend podium later on today. Last lap en route, and Van der Stroy's already through into turn 1 as the 4 behind just make their way across the line, 5 seconds back. But is someone going to chance it and go for an overtake that could help them in the ranking after heats and super heats? So the final intermediate classification. But one thing can be said about one individual. He has not put a foot wrong. Meantime, Fixer's got away from Stahauer, who's got Anglirum closing in on him. But the meantime, we have to concentrate on one person who has had, so far, the perfect weekend. Tommy van der Stroys from MP Kart Racing Team has just picked up his 4th win in a row, and he wins by 5.5 seconds ahead of Jeffrey Fixer. Kevin Stahauer rounds out your top 3 ahead of Jens Sturr, with Robin Glirum rounding out the top 5. Milan van Vinden, Alois Girardet, Gil Mertens, Sam Clays, and Louis Esser round out your top 10. Gil Mertens takes top honours in KZ Masters. Luca Brima, Anders Alkier, Tanya Cirelli, Kane Ince and Mick Blankerspor rounds out the top 15. I'm sure, Helena, you're jumping for joy at that one. Bas Schulten, Lenny Hobiol-Lagache, Nick Ploymers, Milo Bugenhout and Daniel Zastra round out your top 20. It looks like there has been dramas for Mika van der Pavert, who has not made it to the end of the race, it looks like. Zico Osterhoff crosses the line and is the last of the 21 finishes in that race. Van der Pavert, final sector didn't seem to go so well for the number 486 from the Netherlands. Martin Versteeg and Christopher Sachs are out on lap 9, turn 2. And Samuel Lier not even making the start as the kart broke down on the formation lap. But Tommy van der Stroys continues his unbeaten dominant streak here in shifters. What will happen in the final later on today?